And we're back with another episode of the Houdons podcast. I'm Sniffy. This is
George.
Armando.
Daniela.
Hey, and we in this thing for another episode. We're gonna bring y'all some good conversation, man. So, first and foremost, this is Daniela. She is a model. She's a songwriter. She's a lot of things. Entrepreneur. You tell him. You tell him.
Model.
What was your first thing that you got into?
The very first thing, I guess when I was little, was dancing.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
That was the first thing for entertainment for me.
Okay.
And then it
Were you shy at all?
No, I wasn't.
Okay.
Do you still do?
I do a lot. It's like on my resume. So my agent's like, you need to practice all the time. So when I say when I'm out practicing dancing. So
That's good.
That's dope. That's dope. And like, when you first got into dancing, like you never had any like fear, stage fright. Like it was always just like ready for the camera.
yeah, like the adrenaline rush always built in me, and I danced in high school too.
Yeah.
So
This is right.
I didn't dance on the Roses team, but I did the dance competitions.
Oh, okay.
Just because I was so busy with softball.
Yeah.
So Coach Gillis, she was always like, "Come on, Dee, you need to come dance with us. You need to come dance with us." And I was like, "Okay." So I would just do the competitions, and I had the class. So I had dance in the morning, the athletics for softball, volleyball, and then practice. But yeah, I always dance.
So you could tell, like, that helped you with your personality.
Yeah.
Real bubbly. And
Yeah. Outgoing. Like you could tell, just like you're a people's person. You know.
Thank you. Thank you.
And so like, take us to the start. Like when you were young. Take us through your life. How did you get to where you are now? And like highlight some of the best moments, and some of the worst, or some of the most meaningful.
Okay. Well, growing up, I wasn't raised by my mom or dad.
Mm-hmm.
I was raised by my grandfather.
Oh wow. Okay.
And originally, my mom didn't even know she was having a girl.
Oh, wow.
Mm.
So she was putting me up for adoption when she
Wow.
found out she was pregnant with me. So I was like, when she was telling me the story, I was like, okay, but you know.
Because she didn't want another girl?
She didn't want,
I mean,
she already had my brothers. She had my brothers. And she was like, I don't want another boy. My mom was a very, how do you say, like, unstable mom.
Unstable.
Very lost with herself. Which is fine, you know,
Yeah.
not everybody should
Yeah.
have it together. But my mom was one of those that could never, she couldn't catch air with anything. So when she found out she was pregnant and the doctors told her she was having a boy, she was like, oh, I'm giving it up for adoption, especially because she wasn't married to my dad. So like back in the 90s, you know, it was still very strict, and like my grandparents are old school. So they lived through World War II and the Depression.
Oh, wow.
So they were like, you're not married, you need to give the child up.
Wow.
So my mom had me about 2.5 months early.
Oh, so
And
you were premature.
yeah, premature.
Wow.
I was born breached. I had the cord wrapped around my neck, so I basically was born dead.
A miracle.
Wow.
Yeah. So my mom was told by the doctor that, well, you had a baby girl, and
Wow.
we revived her. And my mom said, oh my gosh, you know,
Wow.
because none of my family was there.
So the doctors didn't know you were a girl until you were born?
Born, yep.
What?
Because
Wow,
the
that's
technology
crazy.
wasn't that good back in the 90s.
Mhm.
How it is now, you could tell within a few weeks whether it's a boy or girl.
Definitely.
So they, you know, she didn't know, and my family wasn't there because they knew she was giving me up for adoption. But back in the 90s, when you had the baby, I believe the option was you could sign off right away or choose not to sign, even though you've signed up for the process. So she was like, oh no, I want to keep her. So because of all my complications, as a baby, I lived in like the little incubator for like a year.
A year?
For a year.
Wow, that's crazy.
And the doctors told my mom that, you know, if she lives, she's not going to live very long. And she has so many complications that it may not be worth keeping her. You should just give her up to the system and let the system make a decision while we take her off of life support or whatever it is.
Wow.
My mom was like, no, I'll keep her.
Wow.
So I got out of the hospital, and then I remember I was like 2 years old, 2.5. And I like remember this vividly, and people think, oh, you're crazy, like there's no way you remembered this. But I remember I was in my room at my grandfather's house, and my family was arguing in the living room about my medical bills and about how like it was like the numbers were rising and that they didn't think it like I was gonna live to be normal. So I remember I had my little inhaler because I had asthma, and I remember I opened the bottom right drawer of like my TV stand. Remember the old TVs back in the day, like the box. So I opened up the drawer and I put the inhaler in it and I closed it. And from that point on, I never had complications. I don't know what it was, but I mean, because y'all know I played sports in school. So I wouldn't have been able to do any of that. I wouldn't have been able to dance or do acting or anything.
So you're saying that you think you really didn't need it? That's what you're saying?
I think because I was a quote unquote miracle baby, the connection with God, He's like helped me with so much in my life that even as a little kid, there were things that I did that like almost blows my family's minds. Like with the fact that I chose to no longer use an inhaler, and my mom was like, I remember like the following week, my mom was like, "Where's your inhaler?" And I was like running around. She was noticing that I was running around without my inhaler, without using it. And that's when my family realized. And I was like, "Mommy, I put it in the drawer. I put it in the drawer." They went and looked, and all my medicine stuff was in there. I never used it again.
Damn.
So,
to this day, you never had any complications with it?
Wow.
That's
never.
crazy.
That is really crazy.
But I don't know if it's the fact that like maybe because I was a kid, and you know how they say like spiritually, like I don't know what your beliefs are, but with God they say that like they say a kid can understand the feeling between like God,
connection.
you know, the connection, and they say that God can control a child easily than an adult because we're so innocent. We don't know.
Pure.
We're still like
We
in
kind
the
of
air.
believe a lot of things.
Right. So that's what my family believes, that maybe it was him that told me to do that. So I'm just like, whatever. I just remember I opened up that drawer, I put my inhaler in there, and I closed it. And from that point on, I'm 22 years old. 20 years later,
It worked.
no complications.
Wow.
That's
Nothing.
Wow, that's really crazy. And so, like, did that, like, is that where you feel like you're unstoppable? Like, I'm going to do this, nobody's going to tell me no. Like, I know that I have it within me to accomplish whatever I want to accomplish. Is that where you kind of get that? Because that's the type of vibe that I get from you. Like, you do so many things, you're outgoing. So it's like, I feel like maybe it could come from that. Do you feel like that? Or?
I do, but I also believe, like, the influence of my grandfather, he is the one who got me to that point where I'm believing in my head, you know what, like, I can be unstoppable because he was a professional boxer.
Oh, wow.
He had his fame and time, and he served in World War II, lived through the Great Depression, and because he had such great leadership skills, and he was my hero, still is my hero till this day, I followed in that. I followed in that path. So I feel very, I don't know if someone's calling me. Is someone calling me? You can decline it. Or did they? I don't know what's going on.
That's good.
Okay. But yeah, I think I got it from him. Not necessarily the fact that I was little and went through that and realized that as a kid. I think maybe it was a combination of both, but mainly him and his influence on me is why I have that drive and that I can do whatever I want.
Yeah, it could be like something subconsciously processed through your brain to where like your illnesses, maybe they're still there to this day, but they don't affect you because subconsciously, like since you were that age, like it was built into you, like I don't need this. Like you made a decision very young and like it stayed in the back of your head forever.
Right.
You know, so like it's just
yeah, maybe because I don't believe it.
Yeah, exactly.
That it doesn't.
Exactly.
You know, sometimes some people are like, "Oh, I'm sick," and it's like, no, maybe it's in your head.
Yeah, some people just say, get up, move around.
Yeah, drink some water.
Get busy or forget you're sick.
Take a like rest for a little bit.
Take a shower.
Yeah.
Speaking of your granddad, I think it's a good time to say that you have a YouTube channel.
Oh yeah.
And it's just your name.
Yes, Daniela, Rena.
And she has a real good series.
Subscribe
for sure. She has a real good series talking about her granddad and what happened. I don't know if you want to get into it and explain That way people could understand when you say your grandpa was a big influence. You talk about that a lot in that series.
Yes. So I guess I'll talk about the story a little bit.
Okay.
So I was going to school at Clifton,
Yeah.
which you went to school at Clifton,
Yeah.
right? And you did too.
Yeah.
Wait, y'all did?
We all
So
did.
y'all did.
Yeah.
What? Oh my
Middle
gosh.
school and-
Okay. So y'all were in 7th grade when this happened to me, and I was
Yeah.
in 6th grade.
Mhm.
I don't know if y'all
Was it-
remember
I
this
don't
happening.
2000.
2009.
Yeah.
Y'all had to have been in 7th
Yeah.
grade.
Yeah.
Because I was in 6th.
Yeah.
2010.
Yeah, because our freshman year was 2011.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, this happened November, so like first semester.
Oh, yeah.
I don't remember. I
Um,
don't remember middle school.
We know why? No, I'm kidding.
Oh, wow.
So I remember that day, I was in Coach Schmidt's
Oh,
athletic
yeah, yeah,
class.
Coach
Man, I love her, man. We're still really close.
Oh, really?
But yeah, she follows my Facebook and everything.
Oh.
She actually
Hey, in case you see.
Yeah.
that day I mean, she's been there from that moment on
Mhm.
until now.
Wow.
Like she still stayed in contact with me, helped me
That's
with
dope.
family
That's
issues
good.
and stuff. But yeah, shout out to her.
Mhm.
So that day I was in her class. I remember I was like walking around y'all remember the track?
Yeah.
The old broken up concrete track?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so I was walking around and I remember I was talking to a friend of mine and I was like talking to her about my grandpa and I was like, oh my gosh, because of my grandfather, I get to do acting, I get to do my classes for dance and, do all that. And we changed
Mhm.
and it was the end of the day and this was November 6, 2009. So it was like right before the holidays. We're
Yeah,
settling
yeah,
in.
before
so-
Thanksgiving.
Right.
Mhm.
And I got on the bus and I went from Clifton to Black Middle School.
Mhm.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I remember that, right.
So I got off when we showed up at Black, I was like, where's my grandpa's truck? And he wasn't the typical person to forget.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, maybe he just is running late.
Yeah.
So I got off the bus and I waited for about an hour or so. I don't know, maybe 45 minutes, I don't know.
Yeah.
So he didn't show up and I didn't have, remember it was like flip phones back then.
Yeah.
And I say back then, it's like not that long ago, but for us, it seems
Yeah.
like
It's
that
a
long
decade
ago,
already.
Man,
right?
That's already 10 years.
Yeah.
Basic. Yeah, you're right. You're
About
right.
to be 10.
So I walked from. Y'all remember like it's still there, the Oak Forest. What is it? The
Right.
public library.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're
The
talking
public
about.
library.
Yeah.
I walked there and they were closing, and I was like, how can I call home? So I went to the Dollar Tree.
Oh,
Right
no,
there
that's
by
it.
like Kroger.
Yeah.
So I walked there and I go and I asked the lady, I said, can I use your phone? No one picked me up from the bus stop. So she's like, okay. So I called my house phone.
Mm.
No one answered.
Oh,
And I was like, Which now later on in life, when people don't answer their phones, I panic.
Oh,
I
yeah.
panic. I freak out because of that. And I called my brother and he's like, hey, where are you? And I said, I'm like right here at Oak Forest Elementary. I said, where's Grandpa? And he was like, I don't know, just meet me at the house. And he's like, I'm at the store or something. So I was like, okay. So I go the back way. You know how like there's that street where there's Oak Forest Elementary, and then that street takes you, I don't know the name of it, but it takes you to Waltrip, the back
Yeah, I
way.
know.
Oh, yeah.
That one with like the speed bumps, right?
Yeah.
So I went down one of those streets. I went the back way because I didn't want to go the main.
Mm-hmm.
Because
By
I
the
was
park
little.
and all that.
Yeah, I didn't want to go through all that. So I went the back way, and I remember thinking to myself, like, I had dreams about him passing away. And I'm thinking maybe that's what happened. In my head, that's what I was thinking as a little kid.
Yeah.
So,
So, of
again,
course,
with
you're
the
walking-
spiritual connection.
You're
there
walking
we go back
home, you
with
start
that.
thinking about things.
Yeah. So, we got
So
Amber
Amber
Alerts.
Alert.
You can hit the X.
Fucking Amber.
Did it stop everyone's?
Yeah, I
It
stopped
is.
that one too.
Can you hit the
This one's
Y?
still recording.
It's still good.
Oh, we're still good?
Yeah.
The sound's still
So I remember I was walking on the left side of the road,
Mm-hmm.
and my grandfather owned a bunch of properties right next to each other, like, Mexican style. I don't know his name.
So it's like 3 lots, right?
Yeah, well, it was 4. Yeah, it was like 4 lots, but he built 3 homes
Oh, okay.
on it. And so it was my grandma / Uncle Thomas's, and then my grandpa's, and then behind my Uncle Junior lived in that house, but my grandma owned it.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember I saw my uncle, he pulled up, he was like parked in front of my grandma's house. But at the time, it had taken about a year. So like a year before that, my grandfather announced to the family that he was leaving all of his like money and everything to me. So my family's very money hungry.
Wow.
So they were like mad. They didn't talk to him for about a year before that. So I just waved at my tia, because my tia was sitting in the truck with my Uncle Junior, but he looked mad, like angry. And I was like, okay, whatever. And I just waved at her. My grandma and my uncle didn't talk to me or wave at me.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember walking up to my grandpa's house and I saw the front door open.
Wow.
I was like, that's not normal.
Somebody broke in or something.
That's what I was thinking. So I walk in and I look around and it like his chair was flipped over,
Wow.
the mail was everywhere, and the house was like silent.
Wow.
I was like, oh hell nah.
That's
I was
crazy.
like, you know, as a kid you're thinking
Yeah.
like we got broken into.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I'm freaking out. So I walked slowly through the house and I'm looking to my left and right because the hallways and the doors.
Mhm.
So I'm thinking, you know, maybe this person is gonna get me and maybe they got my grandpa and they're just waiting on, maybe it was like a setup.
Yeah.
And that's what I thought. So long story short, I throw my backpack on the table and I see a blanket at the back of the house and we had a glass patio door.
Mm-hmm.
And the patio door was like shut or whatever. And so I was like looking around, I was like, okay, maybe he was like washing clothes and got into a fight with my uncle. That's why his face looked mad, like angry, because of money and whatever. So I was like, well, let me take the blanket to the garage and like let him know, hey grandpa, like you didn't come pick me up. And I was thinking all kind of things like what to tell him because he was gonna get mad at me for walking home by myself. So I went up to the blanket and I was gonna grab it and take it out to the garage. But when I went to reach for it, something was like pulled me back. I was like, oh my god, like, you know. Okay, I just like was gonna turn around and go sit on the couch and wait for him. When I turned to the left, I saw his left hand with his gold watch. He had a Rolex. And I just like freaked out and I like really backed up and looked at the scene. There's like blood everywhere. So I grabbed the blanket and I was like, this is, I want to save him. I don't know if he's alive.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do. So I like grabbed it and like at the corner and like yanked it a little bit. I saw what I saw when I closed it. And I just like grabbed the home phone because that's when we had landlines back then. So I called 911 and was crying, and my brother showed up. He's like, what happened? Before we knew it, like the police were there and my life changed forever from that moment on. But it didn't stop me. It didn't stop me. It was like, it's time to keep playing softball. It's time to keep going, do well in school, which I did struggle in school because of it. And teachers, oh my God.
Yeah, teachers don't understand.
Yeah.
They
They don't
only worry about themselves.
Right.
Did you get any justice of like cops figuring it out, or like what was the outcome? What happened, or like?
The outcome of it
I
was.
mean, not to ask like that. We know the outcome, but like, you know,
Yeah,
like,
no.
as far as on the police side of things, did they do their due diligence to like, you know?
To be completely honest, I've always had a good relationship with the police. Especially because in my neighborhood, I was very fortunate to grow up in a all-white neighborhood that had their own police and everything.
Security.
So, yeah, I was very fortunate that the police already knew who my grandfather was. They knew we were the only Mexican Americans that lived there. And when that happened, one of the police officers told me, he was like, Danielle, I just want you to know that your life is going to change forever. And I was 12 years old. I was like,
You didn't understand, like,
yeah.
what?
I was like, what do you mean? Well, yeah, he's gone, but like, what did you mean, you know? But those police officers, they pushed a lot, I think, for my mom and I, because my brother went into custody because of my family blaming it on my brother. And I
So
think
it was like a assault type of thing?
They,
Just to give context, like.
yeah, no, so what happened to him was his head was decapitated and he was stabbed multiple times. Yeah, no, I'd rather just be straight up about it and not sugarcoat anything.
Yeah.
But the truth is the truth.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whether I try to sugarcoat or anyone can go on the internet and find exactly what happened.
It's true, man.
So
But by
I'd
any
rather
means,
people
we don't
hear it
wanna-
from me.
We don't want.
We don't want to put you
make
under
you
that.
relive
no.
that, but I mean.
But I think that's a testament to you. Like, you know, you say you grew up with your grandfather.
Yes.
When that happened to him, you could have, like, you know, choose basically two paths in life.
Right.
You chose a good path.
You could be depressed.
You're
you could be
successful
suicidal.
Yeah, you could have just been popping pills. Or you could have
Right.
done the wrong path. You know.
Mm-hmm.
But
So did you
chose the right
physically
one.
see those things? Like.
Like, did I see it happen to him?
No. But like you said he was decapitated. Did you see that?
Yes.
And
And
she
you
said
moved
she
the
didn't
blanket,
know.
right?
Yeah, I didn't tell the police that.
Wow.
No, yeah, there's a
Imagine
lot I
that
didn't
for-
tell.
They,
For 12-year-old.
they thought that you didn't
Yeah.
see anything.
Yeah, they were
Wow.
like, "Did you see anything at all?" And I was like, "No."
Yeah, you just didn't want to talk about it, basically.
That,
You
but I was
regret
in
that?
shock.
Oh yeah, for
Do you
sure.
regret not saying anything?
No.
No?
Because, well, now my family knows. But I keep a lot from the police. As far as my grandfather's murder goes, with what I saw, how I saw him, I kept that from them because instantly, when I was taken into questioning that night. I mean, it blew up all over the news. I mean, every Hispanic.
But if they questioned you, they had the witness of you going to the corner to the Dollar Tree giving a call.
Yeah.
So it's like they know you can do another.
Or at school.
Right, no, they
Right,
traced
right.
everything down, and my
Mhm.
name was
Yeah.
like clear. They didn't think I was a suspect. They thought that
You do something.
right,
Mm.
that I planned it, or like my family planned it. Which was like whatever.
They thought you wanted the money.
Basically, but it was like I'm not a money driven
Yeah.
person.
Yeah.
So
From the outside looking in, like just me being me, if I would have walked in and seen your cousin, like that didn't process through your head, like maybe they got in an argument. You said your cousin?
oh, my uncle.
Uncle.
Yeah, in his truck.
Yeah, like that didn't process through your head, like what if it was him? I'm not saying that you
I did
thought it
bring
was him,
that up.
but did it like process? Did you think that? Because that's how I would have thought if I seen somebody angry.
Yeah,
And
it's
then
kind of
5
weird
minutes
that you
later,
said that your
somebody's
family
dead.
was outside by the house just
Right.
chilling. That's just weird.
Right.
They didn't tell you nothing to come up to you, like.
Yeah, they,
Right, and they could clearly see from the road
Yeah.
that the front door is open, and
Yeah.
they know that
It's not
we
normal.
don't use the front door. We use
Wow.
the back door. They know. They know the routine of my
Yeah.
grandfather's life and lifestyle.
Yeah.
So he never opened that front door.
Mhm.
But I did bring it up to the police.
Yeah.
I did let them know, like, hey, I
Everything
saw my
you
uncle
noticed.
doing this. But what's crazy is that when that police officer came up to me and told me what he told me, like, your life will change forever, my uncle starts yelling at my brother. Didn't even question the police what happened to him.
Mhm.
Kind of like a O.J. Simpson thing.
Yeah.
How when he answered the phone, they said he didn't ask how Nicole was killed.
Yeah.
Same thing with him. He didn't ask the police what happened to him. He just started screaming and yelling at my brother, Justin, saying, "What did you do to Grandpa? How do you know what happened to him?"
And is there anything in your mind that makes you feel like maybe your uncle was right?
Yep. Maybe he's the one who did it.
So you feel like more so your uncle than your brother, maybe?
Yes.
Is that
They
a
blamed your
conversation
brother?
y'all ever had? Like as a group, like all of
As a
y'all?
family?
Well, like I said, we didn't talk to them. A lot of my family was very envious of me. I mean, still are. They like
Right.
watch me on social media. I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like what?
Like,
you
we
don't. You didn't like me as a kid. My cousins used to like, cause I'm the baby of my family.
Mm-hmm.
So you used to like push me into like mud when we would play
Oh.
outside. They would like bully me. They would say I'm not pretty enough. I'm not good at softball enough. I'm not gonna be as famous as Grandpa was. Things like that. They would say things to
Hurtful
me.
things.
Right. So I wasn't, even after he was murdered, not ever did we come together. It was fake for the camera because The media was on us. They were on us from his funeral to his burial, everything. I mean, cameras left and right, and they did it to make it. They stood around my mom and I because they wanted it for the camera to make it seem like they weren't bad people, but in reality, they hated me. Still do.
And in the end, like, did the cops like repossess his money or like because you know he was murdered? So like, did they ever feel like, oh, this is like a setup, so we're not gonna release his like his will, his money, or like did it go that far or like?
So my grandfather told me when I was like 7 or 8 years old. He said, "Neha, whenever something happens to me, there's a black box, and in that black box, there's everything that will set you up for life, like his insurance policies." All his money from boxing, all of that, from him working and all that. Everything is in there. And he said,
my bad, you go.
that's okay. He said, you go in my room and you get that black box. Well, the next day after the murder, I stayed at my Uncle Thomas's, my grandma's house, the house that I saw my other uncle's truck parked in front of. I stayed in her house, which was odd. They only allowed me to stay for the camera again. And my stepdad came to get me, and I said, "Dad, I need to get clothes." So he's like, "Okay, we'll go next door." Even though the police already told us,
not to go in.
You're not allowed to go next door until we come and clear it.
It still had tape on it and everything? Oh, okay.
Yep, but I still went next door. When I went next door, my Uncle Junior, the one that was in the truck, that looked angry, and the one that questioned, or that basically blamed my brother, he was in my grandpa's room digging for that black box.
Wow.
And only you knew where it was.
I believe I was the only one who knew
where it was.
Yeah.
But they knew about it.
Yeah, I think, they knew about it. And I think he told, at first it was my cousin Tanya, that she's older than me. I don't know, she's like in her late 30s, I think. But she was once the favorite grandchild because she was their first, like my grandma and grandfather's first granddaughter. And she played softball, very successful at it and everything. And was going to go to college, didn't do it. Then the next was my cousin Tony, and she wasn't really a favorite. She was just like a great softball player, which I'm sure y'all probably know her. She played softball with, maybe you know her. She played when Anne-Marie was playing softball. That's when Walter went to state.
What's her name?
Tony Gonzalez.
Yeah.
Yep.
Very good.
So her, and then I came along, and my grandfather changed it from my cousin Tanya to having all, like, basically his empire that he built, all his homes and properties and everything, and then changed it to my name. So I don't know what they did, but just know I didn't get none of that money at all. Like,
so your two cousins above you that were gonna get the money were your uncle was the one that was digging for the black box.
Yes.
I figured it out.
Yeah.
So did you like turn that tragedy, like your grandpa passing? Do you use that as motivation in your career?
Oh, absolutely.
For sure.
To like do it for him basically in everything that you do?
Right. I believe that he didn't leave this earth wanting me to be unhappy. Because he always told me, like, if something happens to me, I want you to be happy and successful. It's all that I ask for you to do, and that's it. And that's what I took that with me forever. I mean, in next month will be the 10-year anniversary of him being murdered. Yeah. So yeah, I definitely use that as motivation every day.
Yeah.
As you should.
Yeah, as you should. Like,
For sure.
I use my grandfather as motivation. Like,
Yeah.
so I understand. Like, it's always good to let them live through you.
Right.
You know, like that's the only way they survive.
Just have the words that they told you, like the consejos, like the advice they gave you over in your head.
Yeah.
That's how I always hear that from my grandpa. It was in my head all the time.
Definitely. So like now with your career choice, you mentioned like you do modeling, you said acting, dancing, sports. Like, if you could pinpoint one, what is your favorite?
Oh man, that's like asking me.
You
I
choose
remember
between
a
your favorite
college coach asked me, they're like, "Do you want to play softball, volleyball? Do you want to do dance, or do you just want to do military?"
Why not all of them?
Right? But
Try to
in
do all.
college, it's a lot more busier.
Yeah.
I mean, you're flying. I was on the road like 4 days a week
Oh wow.
in college
For-
as a
for
law
sports?
student. Yeah.
Wow.
So I mean, I was like
You were like zoom 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 everywhere.
all day, every day. It was crazy.
Wow.
But if I could pinpoint my favorite, I want to say, because I really want to say modeling. Because with modeling, I'm already opening so many doors for so many people like us, minorities.
Yeah.
You've never seen, I want someone to tell me, what Mexican American is on the cover of Cosmopolitan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never seen it.
Mm-hmm.
Neither have I seen it on runway.
Mm-hmm.
Not ever walking for Chanel,
Yeah,
Versace,
Yeah.
Gucci. You never see them, right?
Yeah.
But so the goal with modeling is to break those boundaries, and that's why it's my favorite.
And do you ever feel like the industry is like unfair to you, like being that you're shorter or like your
Minority.
body type, minority, your race? Like, does any of that ever affect like your bookings and stuff like that?
Yes, big time.
In what way?
So a recent casting call I went to, I was the only Mexican American there, and the girls were like, because basically what the casting, one of the I don't know if it was the casting director or an assistant to the casting director came out and asked for everyone's comp cards. So I gave them my modeling comp card, but when they got your comp card, they asked what race or what your ethnicity is.
What's a coco?
Which is like you know how acting there's headshots. There's the big headshots.
Yeah.
Well, with modeling, we have the small ones with the little comp cards. They have like your height,
Is it like a little ID card?
like a business card,
Oh,
but for
okay.
modeling. You know what I mean?
There's a picture of you and stuff.
Mhm. And so they asked what everyone's ethnicity was, and most of the girls said white, and a few of them were black. So they said black, or one was half white, half black. And they wrote it on your card, like in Sharpie. They wrote it on your face.
Oh wow.
So with me, I said I'm Mexican American, so I'm Mexican and white. And the guy wrote it down. When I went into the casting call and did so you have to take pictures, you have to do profiles, which you go left, right, and then center, and they're taking pictures of you, and they ask you questions, whatever, if you're signed to an agency, which at the time I was not signed to an agency. This was like, I signed the next day to my agency,
Okay.
but I went to this casting call before. So I said, no, I'm just independent. And they were only looking for independent models. And I did everything they asked me to do, and they wanted different sizes, different heights, different looks. So I had everything that they were looking for, but the main casting director asked me, like, what is your ethnicity? Again, and I said, I'm Mexican American. And I think because Mexican is in my ethnicity, I didn't get it.
Wow.
Because all the other minorities got it.
Yeah.
But
You were the only one that didn't get it.
Yeah, I'm the only one. And like, I think my walk was better than most of those girls.
I think I've seen it on
practice all the
Instagram, right?
time. Yeah, that was a later.
Okay.
That was a later casting call that I went to, and I got that runway, but that runway that I wanted so badly in Houston, like I didn't get it, and it was I say it's because of my ethnicity, because they were like, you do really great, you know exactly what you're doing, your posture is good, you have a style when you walk. I don't hesitate, I just do it.
Yeah.
That's crazy. It still happens.
Yeah.
Do you think like that's happened to other girls, so they get afraid of saying that they're Mexican, so they just say, okay, I'm American, I'm a white girl? Do you think that happens a lot?
Yes. And in military school, I actually started saying that I was white.
Wow.
Because I went to a 98 predominantly white school. 98 predominantly male. And I almost started to believe that I was only white. And my last name is not Rena, and I only would tell them, to say Rena, because if I had them say it in Spanish, I didn't want them to think of me as less than.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
with, you know, the entertainment career, I think it's a lot more difficult.
Yeah.
Whether if I was just full white. If I was
Yeah.
full white, I think I would have had a lot more opportunities.
Definitely.
And you don't ever feel like awkward, like I guess maybe from the outside looking in, you hear like stories of like creepy ass camera dudes and like, you know, like what's an awkward position you've been in, like?
I want to say I'm very fortunate that hasn't happened to me.
I've heard stories, crazy stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
Dudes just hitting up like, hey, like, I gave you this so much, can you like, you know, like, give me like, it's like creepy shit.
Like a this for that type of
shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or like if you want to make this, like you have to do that. Like, do you ever get any stigmas of like, or even from the flip side, do like girls think, oh, she only got it because she was flirting with the guy, or he's attracted to her, so she got the part, or like, do you ever feel that kind of vibe from other model competitors? I guess would be the right.
No. So to answer the first question, like I said, I'm very fortunate that that's not ever happened to me, where photographers came on to me.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, if that ever happened.
Yeah, that would be super.
I don't know, and I'm little.
Yeah, you shouldn't
gotta keep
go alone.
something on you.
Like, yeah, pepper
Everyone
spray.
tells me.
Like,
I just don't go
pepper
nowhere
spray.
by myself.
Yeah,
that's smart.
Oh, with you
exactly.
guys, I've known y'all since.
Yeah, forever.
Y'all was shooting hoops at
Yeah,
Clifton,
yeah.
so.
You know.
Before we got big out here.
Right. Start running the streets out here. But yeah, no. So as far as the stigma goes with modeling, no. I think a lot of models think that I get my opportunities because I grind.
Oh,
That's the
You
best way to
know,
get it. That's a good
right.
thing to get it, like to earn it.
Yeah, nobody can really take that
Yeah,
away
they
from
can't
For
take
sure.
that from you at all.
you. And what's like, let's say, take us like behind. Like, what's a day you're modeling? You got to shoot this day. How do you get prepared for it? How does your day start to when you get to the shoot? It's a long process? Does it take a
Yes.
lifetime?
Oh my
Is it a
gosh,
whole day
yes. Yeah, basically it's a whole day event. Especially when I'm shooting. So let's say last year I did a lot of work in California.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wait, something happened
That's
to the.
dope. What the hell?
They said you need to upgrade.
Mm, what the hell?
Bro, did it
Yeah,
even
just
save it?
Hopefully.
Hopefully. I mean, if not, the cameras are going.
Yeah.
Right. So basically,
So you're in California.
yeah, so in California, so you sign, so how it starts is the photographer comes to you with an idea, or they want, how it is with modeling, a lot of people think, oh, it's just for Instagram,
No.
and it's like, no, it's not. When a photographer comes to you at that level, they're talking about, we want you to do something for our portfolio, because it's a team.
Yeah.
It's the main photographer, and then he has a team of like 10, 15 people working behind him.
Yeah.
So normally what they do when a photographer comes to a certain model for a look or a style or something, they're looking to put that in their portfolio so they can get bigger work. So they can start shooting for Cosmopolitan and Dior.
Showing that they're versatile.
So do you feel you
Right.
get typecasted? Like, oh, this is petite, short, or Mexican American? Or...
No, I actually fool people a lot with my modeling. People think I'm like 5'9".
Wow.
So when they meet me, they're like, "Whoa, you're
What's the
short."
rest of you?
Yeah, I was like, "No." I was like, "No, I'm 4'11". If you look at my website and you go to my agency's link, it says right there 4'11".
In middle school, you were short.
Yes.
I remember the basketball shorts.
Bro, yes. Even in high school, I still
Yeah.
wore the basketball shorts.
Did you have like to do with that thing?
Yeah, you had to fold them up.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I would walk around my slides. Y'all remember I had that little headband?
Yeah.
So I loved it. It was a vibe for me. I was a little tomboy.
From
Yeah.
Yes.
I remember I was just
She was like the shortest girl in school. Yeah.
I would be like, damn, bro, kids are getting smaller and smaller these days.
Right? Seriously. But no, even in college, I was the smallest one.
Oh wow.
So like going to college, like being in a military college, like I know that's not all the way like being in the military, but I know it has a lot of like of the same values or.
Oh no, you're basically in the military.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Wow. So
Let
like,
me tell
explain
you.
that like.
So like, my freshman year, I didn't even know really what I was getting into because I was so busy in college. In high school, my senior year, I was so busy trying to make straight A's and trying to
Do sports.
be successful with sports because I had scholarships that I was like, oh, I want to go to military school, I want to be in the Air Force, whatever. I didn't realize that the day we swore in, they said that we are second in line for, like, if we went to World War III. We're second in line.
Ooh.
And that I believe, like, once you've graduated from Rookdom, you have so many years until that expires. So, like, I think it's like 7 years. So if tomorrow we go to World War III, I'm going.
Dang.
Yes.
And then if you don't go,
And you
go to
signed
jail,
that
right?
paper. Yeah, you signed that paper. And you swore in. So, and then I know if you...
We're open. We don't go.
Please.
I know,
Damn.
but I know also too if you graduate from the Corps, like with your honors and everything, and then you decide you don't want to be an officer, you don't want to be a lieutenant in any of the branches, it's even longer for you. I think it's like 8 to 10 years that after you finish graduating, because in military school it's so intense. Like they say it's worse doing that than going to military boot camp, like going straight out of high school, because that's 3 months. Oh, we had a whole school year.
Oh wow.
A whole school year. You had your phone taken away from you. You couldn't even look at the sky without getting yelled at. I got yelled at a lot.
Was it like dorms?
Oh no, it's like prison.
Wow.
It's the walls are concrete. Yeah, the walls are concrete.
Did they have good food?
Yeah, the food was good.
Oh, okay.
The
At
food
least-
to me
yeah,
was
at least
good.
that's something.
To me it was good. They have bacon. I mean, it's not like, you know,
Because
on
I
our
see
school.
so people say like they get those little brown paper bags. And
Oh,
that the
yeah,
food
The
comes
MRE,
in
like
MREs.
MRE.
Oh yeah, no, that's when you're on the field. Then you do have
Oh,
MREs.
Man.
But I wasn't in the Army branch.
Yeah.
I was with Air Force, so
Yeah.
we got treated very
Oh, so it's
different.
Mhm.
Yeah, even though you're in the same school, same corps, when you're split up with your branch, everyone has different training and different. Some people had to do ruck marches for like 25 miles straight.
And what's that? Like, what is that?
That's when you walk, like Army does it.
Mhm.
So it's when you walk with like your
Your
rucksack.
Yeah.
Big ass backpack.
Yeah. And
Like 50
you go
pounds,
up.
right?
Yeah, I think 50, something like that. 60.
You had to do that?
No.
Oh,
I was Air Force.
That probably was
Yeah,
for you.
But they would have to go in the mountains because I went to school in Vermont. So they were in the
So
mountains.
Was there any parties, like any type of like college vibes, or was it just
Oh
straight?
man, a lot of people got in trouble for drinking. You're not allowed to drink, but they had a bar on campus.
Yeah,
They
so
They had a bar on
who
campus.
Or
gets
they,
cigarette?
could be testing y'all.
Yeah.
That could be one of the reasons.
The
at ball.
seniors, I don't know. I still did it.
Was it like girls had to sleep with the girls, guys had to sleep with the guys? Was it
Yes.
integrated?
Girls had to sleep with girls because there was a lot of sexual assault.
Wow.
Yeah, I heard about
A
that.
lot.
There's a lot of that.
And that was one of the biggest reasons why I walked away. Because I was a student ambassador in Houston, and for a wall trip, like my senior year, I graduated with honors with a student ambassador's cord and all that. So when I went into college, I was the U.S. student ambassador. We had one from India and then one from like somewhere else, Spain or something like that. So it was us three. There was one male and the other was a female. So they spoke different languages. It was like weird, but we were basically the ones who would listen to what the students wanted, and we would have to go. Like it was basically like working for Congress or something. So I always had meetings with the president. I was very close with the president there, President Schneider, and he would just be like, "Rena, I like that idea or I like this idea." But when I pitched the idea to him my sophomore year of college, like all the head commandants, and they're real military personnel. Like our president was a general in the army.
Yeah.
The commandants were lieutenants. Some of them have Purple Hearts.
Oh,
I mean,
wow.
very well honored military personnel running the school.
Yeah.
Well, they didn't like that the president agreed with
What you said.
with what I was trying to change, and that I was trying to change everything for the better.
Yeah, they want to stick to the tradition of everything.
Right. and they didn't like that this little Mexican American from the South was coming through and trying to make changes. They did not like it. And guess what? All of them were Caucasian.
What side of the world are they from?
Up north, New England. So like New York, Connecticut,
so
New
fuck the
Hampshire.
Yankees,
Right? Yeah, no, they didn't. Oh no, they did not. They don't like us Southerners down here. So
That's why we're going to the World Series.
I still don't get that.
Hey, nah, it's just a whole stigma. I think it's like even down to like street stuff, like gangbangers that it could be from California don't like gangbangers from the East Coast because they feel like they're not from the homeland.
Yeah, they don't
You know,
this.
like everybody's gonna have a reason to find something to hate. Like
It's true.
to
Like-
either hate or something.
yeah, like to just place some type of adversity in your way. You know, I see like it's a common factor that you consistently face adversity through your trials of life, like whether it was like racial or like family, like you consistently face adversity, like, and you continue to overcome it. Like that's not easy, you know.
Right.
Do you still do sports?
No, just dance is more. Well, I work out.
Mm.
I try to work out every single day besides the weekends. I try to work out because I still have to keep like my legs toned and stuff like that. I mean, I don't work out to lose weight.
Yeah.
I work
Yeah.
out to stay toned.
Yeah.
Hopefully
muscle.
gain
Man.
weight.
I bet you're really good at limbo.
What? They still do that? They still do that in the schools?
Yeah, I haven't done
Yeah,
that.
they
So
probably. I'm not no good at limbo. I know that for sure. I bust my
Limbo. I don't even remember doing that in school.
ass.
We
You'd be
used to
good
do
at it. You're.
yeah, for
Sure.
Just walk.
You just walk under.
I win.
Yeah, no, just that and dance a lot because I hope to pick up roles where the female is a dancer.
Like
So,
Broadway.
like, let's say-
or like Dirty Dancing.
No, let's say like
No, like
Jennifer
the movie.
Lopez did
Yeah.
a documentary
Mhm.
and she needed someone to play her when she was younger.
Oh,
I would like to do that because she
okay.
was known
Like
as
a
a
biopic.
dancer.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I thought you were gonna talk about the movie she just released with Cardi
Oh,
B.
Hustlers.
Oh.
I haven't
I haven't
even seen
seen
it.
it.
I
I
don't
haven't
have
seen it.
time to
Yeah.
go see it.
No,
I
no.
haven't seen
All right, we back. We took a little break. Earlier I tried to ask you about it, but we kind of veered off on the topic. Just want to know, like, what's a day in your modern life like behind the scenes? Like, you know, people get to see the pictures, but that's only like probably like a second of everything that happened in the whole day. So just what happens in the long and the process of that whole.
I think maybe I should really talk about like the legal side of everything. Because a lot of people don't know, but a lot of the photos on my website that you will never see on social media are not on my social media because I don't legally own them.
So explain that. You mentioned something about a deal, right? Or
Yeah.
an agent or something that you have?
Well, no, with my agent, she's the one who finds the work.
Okay.
And I go to the casting calls, auditions, callbacks, all that. She doesn't have anything to do with, like, as far as signing the agreements. I mean, she will sign the agreements and contracts as they come in if I were to do commercials and stuff. But on the modeling aspect, a lot of people don't know is that a lot of models, just like artists, don't own their music.
Yeah.
Models, we don't own a lot of our images.
That's crazy because it's pictures of people.
Right.
But see, what they're purchasing is your likeness. That's what
Yeah.
they call it. Like they're purchasing your likeness of
Right.
everything. You know,
Yeah.
including the background, including like they own that.
Yeah, especially when it's their like watermark on something.
Oh, that's a big one.
Yeah,
When their
that's a
watermark's
big
on something
That's their.
and you crop that out, I can get sued.
one. Yeah.
So a lot of people don't know that behind the scenes. There's a lot of agreements. You have to go through a lot of contracts. You have, I mean, with a contract, there's a lot of paperwork you have to go through and find lines. But there's multiple agreements. There's like NDAs and stuff like that, like non-disclosure agreements. So it's like what we speak about here, you can speak about it, but you can never mention my name, the photo it is, or the scenery. You can't even give hints to it. So there's a lot of agreements behind things and a lot of contracts. So a lot of people don't know that, but a lot of my images, I don't own them. And people will just screenshot them. I mean, you can save it to your phone, do whatever, but if you're out there trying to sell an image or trying to do something with it that promotes you and you're using my face and the photographer's photo, oh, you're talking about like
Lawsuit.
10 times. I mean, you're in so much trouble.
In other words, don't be a catfish.
Right.
Don't
Don't
bring
Which I
it
found out there was a catfish. Someone got me on
What?
Tinder. My name was Sophia.
Tinder.
What?
You can pass it, Sophie.
Yeah,
My
I
name
see.
was
You
Sophia
get
on
Sophia.
there.
You can
I
get
was
Sophia.
like,
gotta see
bro. People from Montreal started sending me screenshots.
You on Tinder?
They were like, yo. They were like, yo. But everyone knew.
Your name is Sophia.
Everyone knew. They were like, yo, D, someone's like taking your images and using them. And I was like, man, just let them.
Yeah.
If they get caught with the photographer,
They just trying to
that's
get
their
some
lawsuit.
money.
That's crazy, bro. People actually do that.
Yeah.
I never understood like the whole catfish thing.
So that's how it starts.
Mhm.
So you gotta go through all that, the paperwork, and then there's the deposits, the money that comes through. So whether the photographer is coming to me, there's a certain deposit you have to hit depending if I have to travel, like with California. So if I have to go to California, you gotta pay for the flight, the room and board. You gotta pay for all that, and then the deposit to keep me, room and board, and then there's like my actual fee.
The cameraman pays you.
Yes.
Right, okay.
Because you're gonna use my style, my work, and everything that I do as a
Well, you present
model,
yourself.
right, to book you higher work or to get you to be a photographer for Nissan
Mhm.
or I can't say any of it. I can't
Like
say any other car names,
But you
but
did
like
work for
Dry Bar or
Nissan.
something like
Right.
that.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
you mentioned something about Dry Bar. You had like a deal with Dry Bar.
Yeah, deal with Dry
And
Bar.
what happened there?
Well,
If
no,
you
I
can
mean it's
still-
not.
if
It's
you
nothing
can
with
talk about
me.
it.
Yeah, it's nothing with me.
Oh, okay.
But with Dry Bar, I was like very skeptical.
They came up to you,
Yes.
or an agent from Dry Bar came up.
No, it was one of their representatives that came to me, which I like. There's a history of her that she doesn't know. Maybe she'll find out right now. But she was actually the ex of one of my brothers. She doesn't know that. She doesn't know. Not the one that's in jail, but
Wow, that's
another
crazy.
brother.
Small
Yeah.
world. That's really.
She
small
doesn't know
world.
that. Well, maybe she knows that now. But yeah, no, she approached me and everything. But I mean, there's nothing with Dry Bar. Nothing is like wrong with me, Dry Bar. It's just her walking away makes me feel very scared because I'm like, because I know she can't say anything.
Yeah.
So I'm like, what's going on, bro?
Yeah.
You know, and that's what people don't talk about with companies. You know, you see people working for a company like, let's say Jay-Z's doing something with Starbucks. And what a lot of people don't know is that I think it's Magic Johnson that owns Starbucks or something like that. Yeah, he owns Starbucks. A lot of people don't know that, or either that he's part owner or something like
Yeah.
that. So let's say Jay-Z is doing something with Starbucks trying to promote a new drink coming out, right? Well, a lot of people don't know that, okay, let's say he walks away, but he says on TV, oh, I'm going to be advertising for them or whatever, and you'll see me for the next year at Starbucks. And then 4 months later, you don't see him advertising with Starbucks. And people don't talk about the fact that maybe it's the company doing shady deals,
Yeah.
or maybe they found out he was shady. They
Yeah.
decided to drop him. But 9 times out of 10, it's more the companies
Oh. Okay.
that aren't sitting in the money or something.
Yeah.
I mean, not with
They're
me.
in the bargain.
Right, I've been very fortunate that that's not happened with me. I've
Yeah.
had companies that were very loyal to me and allowed me to do what I wanted to do, like with my selfie of the week
Mm-hmm.
and advertising different companies and stuff like that. They allowed me to do. I have free creativity,
Yeah.
That's good.
so I appreciate that.
Mhm.
But a lot of people don't know, but with the modeling side and advertisement side of things, there's a lot of shady stuff that goes on, you know. And then there's the whole like situation where sometimes like a CEO of a company
Mhm.
has a crush on a model.
Oh wow.
They only hire her
For that reason.
for that reason, and he may just want one thing. I've
Yeah.
heard
Yeah.
a couple of models say things
Yeah.
like that.
Oh, wow.
They're like, I can't say any names because I signed an NDA, but just know I'm not with this one company anymore because the CEO was coming on to me. And I'm
That's
like,
crazy.
bro.
And like, has there ever been a time where you had to turn down something? They're like, we want you to wear this, and you're just like, I'm not gonna do that, or we want you to pose like this, I'm not gonna pose like that.
Oh, absolutely. There's a lot of pressure for me to keep my image clean,
Yeah.
but people also need to know that I'm human
Yeah.
and I'm 22 years old.
Yeah, you're living life, and you
Right.
wanna have fun, and
So like with this, like having like drinks on the table, people might be like, oh, but you know, people look up to you, and I'm like, yes,
She's
but I'm
drinking water.
human.
she's drinking water.
Drinking
And
water.
Michelob sponsors us. Presidente sponsor.
This is basically Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
This is,
Kool-Aid.
Yeah,
This is our water.
This is for sure water.
But it's
Sweet tea.
like, you know, I'm
This is
human
sweet tea.
and I'm growing up,
Yeah.
and I don't want to forever be.
Looked at as a little girl or something.
Yeah,
Or
I don't
innocent.
want to look. Yeah, you know, like kind of like.
You need to be in this. You need to look a certain way. Like I'm trying to like. You know, you enjoy life. But
Not be in a box.
Yeah.
Right, and I'm growing up.
Yeah.
So even though I'm the baby of my family, and I'm the baby like in this whole industry, everyone's like
you're an adult.
older than me, and it's just like still like I want to take risk, you know. And some people be like, "Oh, you were posing in a bathing suit," and I'm like,
Okay.
"I'm 22 years old."
I
Yeah.
mean, they don't say nothing if
I'm
you're at
not-
the beach
Right,
in a bathing suit.
exactly.
So what's the difference?
Exactly. So yeah, there's a lot of pressure with trying to keep my image clean, but thankfully I have such a good agent that she approves a lot. She hasn't said anything to me. So as long as she's happy, I'm happy, and I'm fine with it. You know, I'm not over there like taking off like I'm not in a freaking like G-string on on camera.
Yeah.
You know, I think my image is clean, classy,
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
but it
Definitely.
also shows like that I can do different things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that you're liberated, you're free.
Right.
Like, I mean, it seems like you have self-worth. A lot of girls nowadays, like, they would trade their body for some type of success. Like, and it seems like you have some type of self-respect to not just be like, you know what, let me just do this with this guy, and then I make 10,000 off of this deal, or 1,000 or 500 or whatever the rate is. You know, like, that says a lot. It speaks volumes about you, because there's a lot of girls out here that they got their Cash App in their bio. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like they out here hoping and praying for that day. You know. So
Right.
Yeah, you're grinding.
yeah, you're grinding for it. You're working hard for it. Like, and I mean, you've been doing it for a long time. Like me and him know. Like
We've
we've
done-
worked with you.
Yeah,
plenty
y'all
of
remember
times.
when I started?
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like not knowing what I was really doing,
Yeah.
because I did when I was little.
I remember that you hit me up for that one at your house.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
when I was freelancing and just
Yeah.
kind of like doing whatever. I just wanted to get
Right.
out there
Yeah,
and
right.
expose
Yeah.
myself in different ways. Yeah, that's what we did, shoots on the street
Yeah.
and stuff. Yeah, that was real cool, but yeah, a lot has changed
It's
since
been a long
then.
time. It's been a long.
I mean, it's only been
time.
like a year and a half, 2 years.
Has it?
But
I thought it's
yeah,
been like 3 years.
It's been like 2 years.
because I was already, I think I had already graduated from the.
That's
Was
the
I
shit
already in
that
college?
we did. I mean, you did.
Yeah.
No, that was before college.
The one at the bayou.
But me and Mondo did one, like, I had,
A year or two ago.
Oh, okay.
yeah, it
That
wasn't.
was a while back. I'm thinking of when we all did the shoot. Remember
And I have my
Trey?
Tupac pictures hanging up.
That's
Yeah.
dope. That's dope. Man, so like, you like no boyfriend or girlfriend, or I don't know if you go that way, like boyfriends. Like, how do you feel? Like, no relationships? Are you good?
How do you
in
feel about your
relationships?
modeling towards your like?
Oh, so right now I'm not dating anyone,
Mm.
which sometimes I kind of, because it gets lonely when they say, you know, it gets lonely at the
Yeah.
top, they mean that.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, you're on the road,
Mm-hmm.
driving by yourself from one city to the next, and you're just like, bro, sometimes I wish I
Somebody
could get on
that
the
would
phone.
Mhm.
Right. You want to share that
Yeah.
success with someone.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? No matter what level the success is, you want to share with someone. But I'm not dating anyone now at all, nor am I like seeing anyone like
Mhm.
that.
Mhm.
But
Do you even have time for anyone?
no,
Yeah.
It's just a crazy.
I tried with like a couple guys,
Mm-hmm.
and I guess this will be like really the first time I really say anything about it. But in January, I was really good friends with this person in the industry last year, and he actually helped me get on radio
Mhm.
and introduce me to people that we hear on the radio and that we see on TV. So he helped introduce me, and then in January, I kind of missed the friendship, and I was like, yo, I miss our friendship, whatever. And I had already did Nissan, started doing stuff with Nissan. And then I guess it just kind of escalated into a I guess like, we were in a relationship, but we weren't. Do you know what I mean? Like complicated. But we did everything together.
Went through the motions, but never put a label.
I supported him, he supported me. And then it became abusive. And that's not the one that's on my YouTube channel. So within a 2-year span, I had experienced two domestic, relationships. Yeah, we can talk about it. So the one that's on my YouTube channel, that went to school with us, right? Yeah, went to school with us. Yeah, no. Yeah, of course not. He is not, I know this sounds crazy, people want to be like, what? But he wasn't as abusive as the most recent one. Because I didn't have to go to the police for him. When I told him to leave me alone, he left me alone. And I think maybe because his parents got involved and held him back. And was like, you need to leave Daniela alone, she doesn't want you around. And that was fine. But with this one, like, I'm having to go to court for him.
Still?
Yeah, and it got so bad.
Like restraining orders or like?
So
like
this is the crazy part. So I guess this will be the first time I actually corrected on social media. But I don't know why he keeps telling everyone it's a restraining order. It's not a restraining order.
Did he go to Scranton too, both of them?
No.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say.
This one is older. I don't know. Oh no, he did go to Watch It. He did, but a much different year.
Oh, okay.
So he's older, and so yeah, different. Not necessarily different generation, but just
older.
Yeah, older. So with him, he was he's narcissistic.
Very negative.
And with my career, oh my gosh, there was a span within this year of like 3 months where I wasn't working. Well, I was, but I was doing it secretly behind his back because he was like, oh, that guy likes you, or this guy wants you, or that, like, very insecure. I've never met someone so insecure.
He's like real possessive, basically.
Right. Very like, you stay here. Basically, like, why are you hanging out with your family?
What?
Yes. Why are you hanging out with your family?
That's dope. That's real insecure.
Yeah, that's out of line. Like, I got a question though, and I mean, you don't have to answer because you may feel like it paints you a certain way, but like, did you stay by his side, or was it like a one-time thing? He abused you and you were done, or did you like try to find the good in him and stay through that?
Yeah, so I tried to stay because I'm such a strong person already.
Yeah. I mean, you've been through a lot. I mean. Yeah,
I really wanted to help him because I knew he grew up in a broken home, and it's not necessarily broken, but his dad's a little messed up. And throughout my research, of being in communication with his sisters, they told me that their dad was abusive to their mom, and he was the only boy. So he saw that.
He thinks that's how it should be.
Yeah, he thinks that's how it should be. He don't know no better.
Yeah.
He doesn't. So he, again, with the whole like narcissist thing, like he'll look at everyone. All his friends told me, "Oh, he's such a good person. He's like the best person in the world. He never does no wrong." When people tell you that, that's a sign.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? But with him, I stayed because what narcissistic people do, and they call it like he's like half narcissistic and half psycho, and that's like a real thing. You know what I mean? So basically, with that in their brains, sometimes they're all right and sometimes they're not. They have a disorder, and people don't know that.
Switch.
They have a switch.
Like schizophrenia.
Right. So I was trying to stay and deal with it, and I thought I could change him. I thought I could make him happy, but the more that I stayed, the more that I realized, yo, like, he'll never be happy. And I need to get the hell out of here.
For sure.
Yeah.
I need to get, yeah.
I mean,
Y'all live together?
not to tell you how to
No.
live your life, but you should never stand by anybody that does anything like this.
Yeah, and
Oh,
on the
for
girl's
sure.
part, it's not your job to try to change a person.
Nor is it your fault. Like,
Yo,
you
yeah.
didn't deserve none of that. Like, there's nothing you could have done to deserve that.
A man should never talk to you a certain way or put hands on you ever.
Yeah, like,
Right.
definitely.
To say the least on the level of how crazy this person really is behind closed doors, within a 3-month span, the Houston Police Department, like, as far as their, like, it's not the Houston Police Department, but it's their investigating department. They researched through, like, subpoenaing the company through my phone, so AT&T. They found that he called me within like 7,000 times.
Jesus
Holy
And that's just on phone record. That's not on Snapchat. That's not calling through Instagram.
7,000?
Yeah.
That's not calling through Facebook.
What's that in a span of time? Like 6 months?
So
Man, that-
no,
That's
like 3
serial
months.
killer behavior.
7,000 calls in
3
3 months.
months.
And
Yeah.
how long were y'all together?
Like 3 months. 3-4 months.
Did-
God.
I'm not gonna ask that.
I'm
He's
finna-
about to do the
He's
math.
like, listen.
That's
man.
33
Like-
times a day.
That's like 80
Right.
calls a day.
Not
Right.
33. I did it in a 90-day period. That's 33 times.
And that's with his number showing.
That's
That's not calling blocked or calling through his friend's phone.
That is out
That's
of
not including that. We
line.
can't trace that.
God.
And that won't stand in court.
Mhm.
But with him calling me through his phone number, oh yeah.
yeah, you lucky you got out of there because that's not normal at all.
Yeah, that's not including no text messages, nothing.
That's
I mean, put it
crazy,
this way.
man. 7
Yeah.
thousand
Do you
times.
have those messages?
Oh yeah, I still
that's
have it in
good.
my phone.
That's
But
good.
also they have it too. And the crazy part about it is that, I mean, I can't speak about it saying no names and stuff like that, but
Yeah.
with the state of Texas, when you go through something like this, so like how we mentioned, was it a restraining order?
Yeah.
I had to get an emergency protection order.
Wow.
Wow.
It wasn't,
they had
see,
to
this is where
regularly
people
patrol
don't
your
know
house.
nothing. Okay, this is where I start getting mad. Cause I did law school, I did pre-law school, so a restraining order is a civil lawsuit
Yeah.
from
civil.
person to person.
Yeah.
An emergency protection order is a criminal lawsuit.
From the
So
police
he
department.
started telling like his bosses and stuff like that, oh, it's a restraining order.
Oh,
Because
so you get
he didn't
fired.
want them to know
Yeah.
that a criminal lawsuit is like with an emergency protection order. You're asking the state to
Protect.
criminally sue and press charges against
See, I didn't
him.
know that.
And
Wow.
it went through. So now I
I know this
have a
very well.
representative. Let me tell y'all. Days and days and days. I
Was
was
this
going to
year?
the police station, yes.
Is this year?
Yes,
In the summer?
I went, yeah, May, June.
Okay.
And I was going to the police constantly, like, help me, this Jew's gonna kill me, you don't understand, you don't understand the level of crazy. And he's not as bad as the other one. He's a lot more manipulative, like, he's done this for years, years.
Tries to make you feel bad
Right,
when he's wrong.
right.
I know
So
the
I
type.
was telling the police, I was like, bro, help me, like, I need y'all to help me, like, please. And I would show them all the evidence, and thankfully, they listened, but you have to go through a whole chain of command. I had to
File
go
a
through
report.
so many people, and
Yeah.
everyone at that level, as you go, when you start getting into the DA and the prosecutors, they have to approve. They have to find your evidence valid.
Yeah.
It can't be no hearsay.
It's
These
you
days,
against
the system-
prosecutors
The,
until they prove it.
right,
You have
and
to
they
have
proved it. So
hard,
now,
hard evidence to show them like
Right.
this is what's going on.
So now with it's like over 2,000 pieces of evidence, they had to get a prosecution team to cover this case because the run prosecutor could not review and basically break down the evidence himself. They had to get a team That's how much evidence there is.
Crazy.
It's why I gave
That
them
is super
everything. I said,
crazy.
you can take my phone,
Who's in
my
the chat?
laptop. We have everything backed up on hard drives. Like, even let's say he decides he wants to hack into my computer and wipe it out. Well, too bad, because we got it all traced back.
That's crazy that you have to go through that because he decided to lay hands on
He
you.
wanted to be crazy, like.
Oh, and I'm not the
Jesus.
only one. No, come
He's
to
done it
find
to
out
more
that there's
people?
other girls that he's done it to.
More girls stepping up as well?
No, because I haven't like said anything publicly,
Oh,
but
okay.
Yeah,
yeah, he
that is
You've talked to
He
other
crazy.
crazy.
the other one isn't that crazy. Like I said, the other one was not narcissistic or anything like that. He just like, chiflado.
Yeah.
He wanted everything his own way.
Yeah.
That when I didn't give it to him, he was acting out on me. And sometimes he didn't do it like, he didn't act out on me in the sense that every day he was hitting me. It wasn't like that. It was just like,
certain
he
things.
was aggressive.
Mhm.
Sometimes I'm like, bro, what are you doing?
Like the
you
way
gotta
he's
calm
talking
down.
to you.
And he was a top athlete in school.
Yeah.
He was a top football player.
Yeah.
And you would never think. And he's sweet and he's a smart guy. Like, I give it to him. He's very smart. He should have went to college playing football. He should have been in the NFL, or playing Major League Baseball or something.
Yeah.
Because he's talented, and he's a smart guy. But he's got problems,
Mhm.
and his problems start crossing over to my lane.
You're like, not
Now,
me.
now, like when you say physical, like, is it just like a full-on closed fist, like hit you in the face type of thing, like?
I think what he would do is he would accidentally hit me and say, "Oh, I'm sorry."
No,
Mm.
fuck that. Fuck
One
you, whoever
time.
You trying to make it seem like it was playful.
For real.
Yeah, one
Fuck
time he did
that
it in front
guy.
of his parents,
Mhm.
Parents?
and they said,
What the hell are you doing?
no, they defended him.
What?
They said,
Fuck them too.
nah, they said, well, you shouldn't have done that.
What?
I was like, what? I was like, okay, I really need to get the hell out of here.
Mhm.
Because all of y'all crazy, man. And then when I left him, his sisters were coming at me in private messages talking about, like, if you and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, bro, get out of here.
It's
You-
crazy. That's
Man,
crazy
he would
'cause they have
act
levels.
out, bro.
Hell no.
Yes.
That's crazy.
He would act
Bro.
out in front of them. And they
I'm,
would,
like,
like, that's
stressed.
normal to him.
I am flat.
You
Like
know what
I
I
can't
mean?
even look at your face and picture it being hit. If that makes sense, like
It's
you don't
you.
even look like a person who deserves that.
No.
You know what I mean? But
Mhm.
I don't know what goes on behind closed doors. Like I can't say that this guy's he's fully in the wrong for hitting you.
Oh,
But
for
like
sure.
as far as like arguing, I don't know. Maybe he felt provoked. He probably has a side of the story too. But it doesn't excuse what he did. Like
Right.
period. I've seen things with my mom, and like I've seen shit, went through shit. Like so, that's a no. I got
Right.
3 sisters. Like I've seen it with my
Yeah.
sister. Like nah.
I've
It's,
seen verbal.
yeah,
abuses.
it, like verbal's
Verbal's
a
even
big one because
Verbal's even worse than
it's
like,
manipulating you
Right.
too, and it can hit like you can take physical damage, but somebody can say something that can put you in a depressive state and put you in a position that like mentally you can't come back from that
for
Right.
sure.
because it's subconsciously will always
It
stay in the
play-
back of your
it
head.
plays in your head all the
Mhm.
time.
And when they say it with so much conviction, like it resonates in a higher level, like
Right.
and it stays there. You know what I mean? I don't know, but like you're here. You're speaking about it. Like
Yeah.
that's one thing
That's good.
I can commend is a lot of women don't speak up.
They stay quiet.
Mm-hmm. And to, like don't ever
They
let
stay,
your
which
voice
is
be
horrible.
overpowered by anybody. Like be strong. You're very strong. Like
For sure.
Yeah, sometimes I am scared to speak up about it.
no, you
Sometimes
shouldn't
I
be.
am
Like,
afraid.
don't be scared.
Even though with this new situation, I have like a whole case against this person. It's so much evidence, like, you might as well just plead guilty at this point. Because if you want to go to trial, we going down, bro.
Man.
We are going down. I think the punishment will be far much worse. You might as well just plead guilty.
Yeah.
Because your friends are involved. Your friends know. They may be taking you back, but I've got messages
Yeah.
and screenshots and voice memos to prove that they knew what you were doing.
Mm.
And so it's like sometimes I'm so scared to talk about it, but I'm just like,
No.
Nah.
why? Why am I scared?
Be,
You know?
be your voice.
Yeah,
Right.
be your
Be the
voice.
truth.
And if you need something, holler at us.
But
You know
watch
what
your
I'm saying?
game.
Right.
We coming through with the cameras.
Yeah.
We got the lights.
TMZ.
And
What you gotta say, boy?
Right?
with these experiences with men, like, have you ever tried to be with females?
Yes, of course.
Weren't you with the girl for like a substantial amount of time?
Yeah, so in high school, I was with 2 different girls.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Where
I
was
was
that?
with 2 different girls.
Where
Where
was
was
I?
I? Getting in trouble?
Yeah, no, for real.
You was over there trying to get
For
your
sure.
your bracelets.
Yeah,
on
you feel me?
there.
Get my bracelet.
Yeah, so my first female not relationship, but encounter was, I was like 6, no, not 6, like 7, 8 years old.
What?
I was like 7, 8 years old with my best friend Chelsea. And we went.
Shout out Chelsea.
For sure.
her mom and her probably watching. But
No mind.
she was my childhood best friend, and I just remember like we kissed, and we didn't know, but like I knew that I liked females and males, but it was like weird in a way, but it didn't feel wrong. So of course we were young, we didn't know anything.
Yeah.
We just like we did what we saw in movies, like kissing, and that was it.
You're like, oh, let me try it.
Right. So when I got older, I always thought something was wrong with me. I was like, it never worked out with guys, so I was like, okay, maybe females is like the way to go. So my first female relationship, I was 16. I might be sending her to jail after this, but she was like 20, 30. Yeah, I've never dated my age. Yeah, I've never dated my age. Never. Yeah, she was older than, yeah.
But like, do you like girls that look like girls, or like girls that want to be portrayed more masculine?
I like both.
No
this
perfect.
guy, I didn't realize this until Miley Cyrus said something about it in an interview. She said that I'm pansexual, which means pretty much she's just there for love.
Yeah, she doesn't.
And if she's attracted to your heart, she's attracted to your heart. So I guess with me it's like that. But I've always dated more of like the more masculine females. And it could be maybe I had that issue. I say it's an issue for me. I don't know, because my family put that in my head that something was wrong with me. But I believe it's because I had daddy issues, is what they call it. I learned that's a new thing.
No, that's
daddy
very
issues.
true. That's true. But did you ever experience like domestic abuse through like female encounters?
I got hit a couple times, but I blame myself.
No, I'm just.
But I do because like.
Did you get back?
Yeah.
I was unhappy. Yes.
Oh, okay,
I was
okay.
yeah.
Okay. Swing back.
The
Yeah.
second
Going to jail
girlfriend. The second girlfriend. We're like best friends now. Well, not best friends, but we close friends. And I remember slapping her in her face. I don't want to say when, but I was in high school.
Somebody.
But she pissed me off, and she just like pushed me or whatever. And her brother was in the back seat, and he was like 16 at the time. And I just remember I just like smacked the shit out of her, and I was just like, bro, like what am I doing? Like what is going on? But it was because like she was aggressive towards me, so I was aggressive back.
Yeah.
And when you don't come from a good home, what you see out there, you think that's what's right.
Yeah.
You know? But of course I changed and all that. But it was just like, I hit her because she hit me.
Yeah.
I didn't just openly like smack her in the face.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah, I did a little bit, but it was nothing like with like the 2 guys I dated. It was nothing like that.
Did you ever like try to be with a girl when you were in military school? Because y'all say they keep girls together and guys together.
So I did date oh my gosh, I don't want to say it because I don't want to disrespect him. But I did date a transgender, which doesn't look like a female, like at all. And actually like lied to my mom and said like I was going to like marry a guy. And she didn't know, like no one knew besides the military school. They knew. We got bullied a lot together, but it was just he claimed to be like a male but didn't change anything. So it was just like I was dating a female. You know what I mean? So I was comfortable. I was okay.
Did you feel weird? Like not weird through that, but like
I just thought he was gay.
Did you ever feel like it was an identity crisis? Like it was like a denial type of thing?
Him in denial or me?
Yeah, it's because like I don't want to call him or her him and be like incorrect by what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So like,
No, I actually didn't even know what a transgender was until I met him.
okay.
Mm.
And then I started learning because when we first started talking, we became friends before anything. I just always had a crush on him. And I called him a her. And I just called by, because in military school you go by your last name. So last name is Santiago. So I'd call her Santiago, like, hey Santiago, what's going on? And it wasn't until like when he admitted to me that he liked me, he was like, I'm actually transgender and I don't identify as a female. I realized, I was like, bro, what? Because throughout that time of being friends, I noticed that he didn't feel a part like everyone else. You know how like y'all may appreciate your bodies for being a male, but he didn't appreciate his body for being a female because as a kid, like it started from when he was a kid.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wow.
And learning about his life. Oh, that threw me in depression.
Yeah.
Because I was being bullied by other people because of him, and then the whole military school thing was going on. My mom was dying. My father was had just passed away. I'm meeting this person that I wanted to marry so badly. Ended up marrying someone else, and that I was just hit with so much. But to learn about him, because it wasn't an identity crisis. It was just that like he mentally was born different.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't see that. I don't say that to be incorrect. Like I don't have nothing against transgenders or nothing. I'm just saying like some people would say like they don't want to accept who they are, so that's why I ask.
I always find that interesting.
Yeah, I find it because it's almost like it's like mentally like
You're different than what you are.
yeah, they're just wired differently mentally to feel that way. Like, you know, like you could be like, oh, I need to gain weight or I need to be skinnier, and we're like, oh, you're too skinny or you're too fat already.
Right.
You know what I mean? So like everybody's wired differently.
Right. No, it's
they're
just
just
him. He
normal
was born
people.
different.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
everybody's
yeah.
human at the end of the day.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Right.
and that's what, like, that comes above all else. Anything, you know? But
Yeah.
it's kind of hard because not many people speak out about that either, you know?
That's true.
There's few people that actually speak up and, like, have a voice when it comes to that.
Yeah. And he was the first transgender to attend a military institution.
Oh, wow.
Oh, really?
Wow.
So he made history with that.
Yeah.
And so you them commandants didn't like it either.
But like,
The
did any
president-
of the like teachers ever like call him or her? And like, how did that go? There's like no legalities that she could be like, hey, I identify as this.
Yes, but some believed so much in their own way and were so closed-minded that they would still call him by his biological first name and call him a her. I even had my own cadre. They got in so much trouble because they told him, you shouldn't have the right to cut your hair the way you want to cut it.
What the hell?
And I was like, what?
That don't make any sense.
They
at
didn't
all.
A right
like
to
him
cut
Yeah.
your
hair the way
Yeah.
you want to cut it because he
It's
had it cut like
saying
a
You don't have
boy.
the right to.
Eat
Yeah,
today.
like-
Like, what?
Yeah, so they said that he shouldn't be able to cut his hair a certain way, and they would pick on him about it, pick on him about it. We would do this thing called squaring, which is like so let's say I get out of my seat, I have to push my chair back in, and I have to like walk across the perimeter of everything to get to where I want to go. So when he would square, they would stop him and like pick on him, basically bully him, and be like, why is your hair like that, and blah blah blah, or like, you shouldn't be wearing male clothes, you should be wearing
Yeah.
female clothes, like making him feel so much more worse than he already was.
But was he like that before? Like, well, I mean, his whole life, like you said, but like when he applied, did he like apply as a male or like?
He told the school that he's transgender and that he wanted to be identified as a male. But like I said, when I saw him around school, I only knew him as a gay female.
I mean, it's like a respect thing, but like not to push any buttons, but like scientifically, you are what you are.
Yeah.
But you're not. But even more so, you are who you identify as.
Right.
You know what I mean? So like you could always identify as anything you want to be. Like I'm black. I'm black. I'm black. You know that I could say that all day if that's what I choose to identify as. Like, but in all reality, you know, I am what I am. But that's just
White as fuck.
it's like it's no good to have to like be ridiculed like that.
Right.
Like you gotta just let people be who they want to be because
Man,
you
it's
got your
their
own
choice,
life to
man.
live. Yeah, like
For
you got
sure.
your own life to live. Like.
Worry about yourselves, not about what other people doing.
Yeah.
True.
And so you brought us from like the beginning of your life to where you're at right now, the ups, the downs, the good, the bad, the goals, ambitions, like what's something you want to ask us or what's something you want to tell us,
What you got coming up?
like
anything.
what you got coming up or like what's something the world needs to know that we haven't gone over.
Something that I've shared a lot.
Yeah, I know.
There's a lot of. I will definitely be going into like my brother. So my next story time. So I'll finish off the segment of my grandfather with part 5. So that will be coming out soon. I haven't had the time to really sit down and edit. So I'll have that coming out, and then just a lot more other projects coming out.
Oh, your YouTube channel.
A lot more projects. Well, yeah, for Instagram and all that.
Mhm.
Not really
Okay.
for Instagram, but that will be posted
Yeah.
for everyone to see. Auditions, because I know pilot season's coming up in a few months, which means when you have an agent, pilot season, like you're constant every day is an audition. So I have that coming up. Preparing for it, doing my classes and stuff, and studying with acting. So I have a lot of that coming up, and I don't know. I guess something that I haven't already shared with the world already, because I share so much. I will definitely be talking about more of like my childhood on story times.
Yeah.
About the things like growing up, my cousins, how I said they like basically bullied me. A lot of people don't know this. I mentioned this before, but because I have such a bigger following now and it's growing a lot, you know, people don't know and stuff. So one thing I will talk about is I don't like being called beautiful. I don't like that. Because growing up, my cousins used to say, oh, you're not beautiful enough, you're ugly, and you're this and you're that. And so when I hear, oh, like you're beautiful or something, I feel awkward.
You don't believe it?
Yeah, I don't believe it. Because as a kid, that's what I was told all the time.
You're not.
Right. So it's almost kind of weird. So that's that's something I haven't really shared openly like this. To sit there and say that's something I don't like. And
is that something you want to get over? Or you just kind of want to leave it as it is?
Yeah, definitely. I guess a mental state of mind that I do want to get through.
What do you prefer?
People will say, oh, you're pretty and that, but they call me beautiful, and of course I say thank you so much or whatever, but inside, I'm just like...
But do you...
Yeah, people say that because, you know, it's supposedly more than pretty. They want to give you a compliment, so it's like, hey, you're beautiful, or... I think, like...
But that's a secret. I hate being called.
Yeah.
Like, but do you accept compliments, though?
Oh, of course. Yeah, when people say that, I say thank you, but like inside in my head, I'm just like, am I really? No, but I'm just like, am I really? You know, because that's what my family told me, so that's what I believed. So now that I'm older and there's like all these weird, like people I don't know, and it's just weird to me. It's like, what? You know, it's an unheard nature. You know, I'm pretty sure y'all have heard about like little kids when they were abused as a kid. When they get older and someone treats them right, it feels weird. They're like, what? You know, they don't want to be touched the right way. They don't want to hold hands. Because as a kid, they don't understand the right way. So I guess with me, I don't understand the right way of how someone should compliment you or how someone should treat you when they like something with you. Not trying to put you down, because that's what my family always did. My cousins, they always put me down. Always, 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 always. So when, other people I don't know compliment me, I'm just like,
Have you ever tried
How many people are in the live, bro?
I don't know if anyone's on it. Can you see?
One now.
One person.
But have you ever tried therapy and has that helped?
Yeah, so the state of Texas actually forced me to go to therapy after my grandfather's death.
Oh, okay.
But I ended up going for different things. Oh, yeah, tracing back all the way to my childhood and things like that. So I did a lot of therapy for about 5 years.
Does that work? I always wonder.
It helped me
That's good.
because talking helps me.
Yeah.
So I was always talking in school. So.
You always got a place to come talk. You're always
For
welcome
sure.
here to come talk to us.
Sit
Like,
down.
if
Come
we
drink
could be
some water.
if we need to be a median, if like you want to have real life conversations with somebody else, you're welcome to do it with
For
us,
sure.
on or off camera. You know,
Yeah,
like
for sure.
you're always gonna be a guest of the podcast. You know?
You're welcome.
You're
Yeah.
always welcome. Sit down and talk with us.
Thank
We
you.
wish you much success.
Yeah,
Right.
very much.
Thank you. And
success.
to y'all too. This is
Oh,
so
yeah.
cool. We
For
gotta do
sure.
it. We gotta do a watch trip reunion.
Yeah, we should.
We're
Talk
down.
about all
We're
the
down.
old
We're
days.
down.
I want to
We're
hear
down.
about this room,
Yeah.
the couch.
That's a Clifton.
I didn't
That's
know
a
about
Clifton.
that. All right,
That's
we
a
gotta get some
Clifton.
Clifton people.
Yeah.
Yo, y'all remember Miss Coleman?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I saw her the other day
Wow.
at the store. I didn't say nothing, but she looked at me.
Hold on,
And
who's
I just
Miss
kept
Miss
walking.
Coleman was the one when you enter the building.
What did she teach? I know she did math for a while.
I think it was English.
Yeah, is she the one that took over that lady's class in the T buildings because she left for a long ass time?
No, I think that's Miss Mayorga.
No, she's black, right?
Yeah, she had short hair.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. That's Jamal's aunt.
Yeah.
Jamal.
Yeah.
He told me.
No way.
That's Jamal's aunt.
Then she went to
That's
watch her for a
Jamal's
little
aunt.
bit.
Yes.
Yeah. I remember her
Bro,
because
I
I
saw
always
her.
used to,
Yeah.
every time I saw her, I'd be like, man, it's cold, man.
Yeah,
And she's like, what are you
yeah.
doing? Yeah, that's Jamal's aunt. He told
Yeah,
me.
that's Jamal's aunt.
Yo, we gotta talk about them good times. I want
Yes,
to hear.
we-
I know y'all have some good stories. Me, I was just grinding. I was just grinding. Y'all knew about these rooms, where to sneak out of,
Man.
what time to
Yeah,
leave school.
Oh, cool. We could do like story time.
The
Yeah,
lunch,
I was-
the lunch when we go to.
Oh, okay. So look, I don't know if you remember when it snowed at Clifton.
Oh,
Yes.
Well, it was two times.
But the first time,
when it snowed
Y'all
hella.
had
Yeah.
the snow fight?
Yeah, we had a snow fight.
Man, I was mad because I was in Mr. Mason's.
Bro, but he
I was just looking
Looking out the
outside, man. Like, dude, I wish I could be out.
They broke the windows.
Yes.
Broke them to get out because they don't want to let us go in the snow. So everybody just rushes the doors. They break the windows. They're crawling out, and we had a full-on snow fight.
What the hell?
Yeah.
These kids are wild.
Hey,
Bro.
I was what, 6th grade, right? 6th grade.
Do you
No, I
remember
think it was
that
7.
food fight at
7.
Clifton?
Yeah.
When they broke the
Oh,
window with
yeah.
the milk?
Yeah. And they just chunking stuff everywhere.
I remember they hit
Bro,
Mr. Lovin with something.
Man, he was always hurt. I remember the story. Look, it was me and you were in class together for Miss Santos, right? When Royal blew everything.
Oh, Rose is such an idiot.
Okay, so
Fucking
look,
Royal.
we're sitting in the back of the class, and I tell my homeboy Royal, I'm like,
You
stick the
don't know
metal
Royal?
scissors in there. Yeah, you know Royal, right?
Yeah, I know Royal.
I was like, stick the metal scissors in the socket and see what it does.
And like a dumbass, he listened.
I was like, I'll give you $1 because $1 was everything. Pizzas were $2, so he did it. It shocked him. I'm like, bro, that you're lying, bro. Do it
You
again.
did, dude.
He did it again, and I told him, bro, just shove that shit in there. He shoves the scissors in the socket. It blows up. I'm like, it's like a table. I'm on this side.
Wait,
He's
the
on
what
that
you mean
side.
it blows up?
No, it blew up.
It
Like
literally
sparks
blew
flew. I
Are you-
jumped.
are you
I hit the
serious?
ground.
Oh, you said Royal fly back like 10 feet.
And then some girl in the class stands up and says the lame.
What do you think?
She like she said. What do you think
Yeah.
she said?
I don't know.
She just
Was it Alyssa?
Nah, it was Jasmine.
Oh, yeah. She's like, that was shocking.
What the fuck?
Oh man.
Man,
That
poor
was when
lady.
it snowed outside?
No, this was a whole nother day.
Oh.
And then in that same class, like we did that teacher so badly.
She had a heart attack.
Yeah, she had a heart attack. She had to leave, and so we had a sub. The sub thought
The
she was
pimple?
yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. She
This
had
thought what?
the sub came to like
Was she Caucasian?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Black hair?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Big ass pimples.
So Royal again.
Oh, God.
she's passing out papers, to everybody, and she trips and falls. And so she gets up, and Royal stands up. It's okay. She's got a fat ass pimple on her forehead and broke her fall. She started crying.
What?
Bro's a real ass.
Yeah, those were.
Is
some
he really
bad
like?
times.
I mean, I don't know
He's
him
not.
like
He's not
that.
He has
like
no
that.
filter. He has no
Like,
filter.
It's just back in high
Oh.
school. He was the
Middle
kid. Yeah, in middle school. He was the kid that got in trouble for selling condoms.
That's how I middle.
I remember you selling condoms.
He ran around naked in elementary school, like.
He peed in a trash can in high school.
Yeah, like.
Oh, when we were in lockdown
Yeah.
for that pawn shop.
Yes.
He was a very.
He was an
Outgoing
awkward
person.
child.
That's what.
Yeah,
He was a
Very
awkward child.
different
Very
outgoing.
different person.
Bro.
He was
what?
into midgets too. He really was.
Because he dated some little short girl. back
No, but
Like
like
little,
No,
smaller than you.
you.
Way
Smaller.
smaller too.
She had to like
Bro.
step up not two flight, but like 2 actual stairs to be at like his
Like,
level to give him a kiss
not
on the
like
mouth.
not even like under his like.
Yeah, she reached him like right here.
Yeah,
bro.
like she was short.
Bro.
was
But
fucking-
Royal's not that tall.
To her, she was.
Oh.
6'1" or
Yeah.
6 foot.
Oh.
He probably
Okay.
is taller than me.
He's kind of tall. He's kind of tall.
Damn.
Yeah, but we need to
Royal,
talk
we
about
need to
these
have
stories,
you
bro.
over
That's your
here.
foot.
Yeah, we'll
We
bring
need
you
to
back
do a
with- Yeah,
reunion.
For sure.
Yeah, for sure.
A Clifton reunion, then a Watch It
Yeah.
reunion.
We
Man.
got
Talk
to.
about them good
Yeah,
old
yeah.
days.
Story time.
Story time. Sure.
Story time.
And maybe you can come and then we do your channel. And you
Okay,
bring us on
for
your
sure.
channel and we do like
Yeah.
a little collab or something.
Yes, for
That would be
Get
sure.
down.
Yeah, for sure. That was fun.
But we're gonna wrap it up. At least we ended on a good note. You told us a lot of good things, bad things, hard things. But at the end of the day, the best thing is that you're here with us today. You got a smile on your face,
For sure.
and
You
like,
didn't
you're
let
powerful.
your bad things weigh you out. You let them
Yeah,
pursue
You let 'em
and do great
uplift you.
things.
and that's a very beautiful thing. So if the message behind this podcast is that
Don't get discouraged.
don't get discouraged, and say I'm beautiful. You know.
Yeah.
Even though you had
Yeah, even though
Yeah,
you
even though I do, yeah.
Alright.
So just do your churches real quick. Plug yourself real
Yeah,
quick.
plug your
Said churches.
Instagrams. your-
So my Instagram, my website is official Daniela Rena.
Mhm.
My Facebook and fan page on Facebook is Daniela Rena. I have a Twitter, but I don't use it.
We gotta hop
You
on.
should.
We gotta hop
Twitter's the
on.
best.
Twitter got no filter.
And I don't follow people like that.
You need to
We'll shout you out.
follow
We'll
us.
shout you out. We got
Put you on
we
some
got
funny people.
We got you.
All right, cool. And my Snapchat is what is my Snapchat? Oh, it's my old school D Nicole -5050. You remember when I used to be D Nicole 5050?
Yeah.
It stands for half white, half Mexican.
Oh wow.
I made it when I was at Waltree.
50-50.
Half white, half Mexican.
So,
That's funny.
This is another episode of the Houdons podcast.
See y'all next
Sniffy.
week. George.
Mondo.
And Daniela.
We thank you for tuning in.
Appreciate it.
Y'all go crazy in the chat.
See y'all next
See you
week.
next Monday.
Hey.